On a freezing morning beneath a Chicago train station, a black mother hugged her 6-year-old daughter so tightly her arms ached. Not from the cold, but from fear. Fear of being ignored. Fear of being judged. Fear that today, like every other day, the world would walk past them and pretend they didn't exist. Then a man in an expensive coat stopped. He didn't offer spare change. He didn't offer pity. He offered something far more dangerous: trust. An unlimited credit card. 24 hours, no rules, no protection. No mercy if she failed his silent test. Her hands shook as she took it, knowing that one wrong choice could confirm every cruel stereotype ever thrown at people like her. Inside her chest, hope and terror collided so violently it almost hurt to breathe. What she chose to do next didn't just change her life. It shattered a billionaire's beliefs and exposed a truth about race, dignity, and humanity that no one was ready to face. Stay, because what happens next will shock you. Ethan Caldwell had learned a long time ago that silence was safer than hope. At 38, he was the youngest CEO ever to lead Caldwell Therapeutics, a pharmaceutical giant headquartered in Chicago. His name appeared on magazine covers, his opinions moved markets, and his wealth insulated him from almost everything, except himself. From the outside, Ethan's life looked flawless. A penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan, a driver who knew his coffee order by heart, meetings that bent around his schedule. Inside, however, his world was built on a single belief drilled into him since childhood: trust makes you weak. His father, Harold Caldwell, had said it plainly, repeatedly, ruthlessly. People take advantage of kindness, especially the poor, and especially people who play the victim. Harold never said the word race out loud. He didn't have to. The implication lingered in the pauses, in the sneers, in the way he changed the subject whenever the news showed protests or shelters or neighborhoods that didn't look like theirs. Ethan absorbed it all, not because he was cruel, but because it was easier than questioning the man who raised him. By the time Harold died, Ethan had perfected the art of generosity without humanity. Donations filtered through foundations. Charity reduced to spreadsheets, help given at a distance, clean, controlled, invisible. He told himself it was responsible, smart, necessary. That belief cracked on a freezing January morning beneath Chicago's Jackson Station. Ethan was already late. The CTA Red Line platform buzzed with the usual chaos: commuters bundled in coats, the echo of footsteps, the sharp smell of metal and damp concrete. His assistant, Claire Morgan, trailed behind him, reciting a list of urgent messages. Investors are waiting. The board is already irritated. We can't afford another. Ethan stopped so suddenly that Claire nearly collided with his back. Near the wall, half hidden by a pillar, sat a woman wrapped in a thin coat that had long since lost its warmth. Her skin was dark against the pale tile, her face drawn with exhaustion so deep it looked permanent. In her arms slept a little girl, no more than 6, her small body curled inward as if trying to disappear. A piece of cardboard lay at their feet. Single mother, no home. Anything helps. God bless. People walked past without slowing. Some glanced, then looked away. One man muttered something under his breath that Ethan pretended not to hear. The woman noticed Ethan's pause and stiffened immediately. Her arms tightened around the child. Protective, instinctive. Before he could say a word, she spoke first. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "We're not bothering anyone. We can move." The apology landed harder than any accusation ever could. Ethan crouched despite the chill seeping through his expensive coat. "You don't have to move, Juan," he said. "What's your name?" Her eyes flicked to his shoes, his watch, his face, measuring risk the way survival demanded. "Naomi," she answered after a beat. "Naomi Brooks. And your daughter?" The child stirred slightly, then settled again. "Aaliyah. She turned 6 last week." 6? Ethan's chest tightened. 6 years old and sleeping on a train platform while the city roared above them. "How long?" he asked. Naomi hesitated. Shame crossed her face. Not because she had done something wrong, but because she had learned the world expected her to feel guilty for existing like this. 5 months. 5 months. A black woman, a black child. Invisible to most. Suspicious to others. Claire shifted impatiently. Mr. Caldwell, we really… Ethan raised a hand without looking back. He studied Naomi more closely now. Her clothes were worn but clean. Her voice calm, educated. This wasn't carelessness. This was collapse, the kind no one prepares you for. Without another word, Ethan reached into his wallet and pulled out his credit card. Naomi froze. It wasn't the few dollars she expected. It was black, heavy, unmistakably elite. I don't understand, she said quickly. Sir, if this is a joke… It's not, Ethan replied. I want you to take this. Her grip tightened around Aaliyah. Why? 24 hours, he said. No limit, no conditions. Her breath caught. People don't do that. Not to people like me. The words people like me echoed loudly in Ethan's head. I want to see something, he said honestly. What someone does when given everything after having nothing. Naomi stared at the card as if it might burn her. And if I disappear? I'll know, Ethan said. Either way. She swallowed hard, then took it. Her hands trembled. I'll be here tomorrow morning, he added. Same place. As Ethan walked away, his father's voice followed him like a ghost. You're making a mistake. She'll take everything. That night, Ethan didn't sleep. He watched transaction alerts appear on his phone. Small amounts, practical purchases, a pharmacy, a grocery store. Nothing extravagant, nothing reckless. Then one charge stopped him cold. Donation, Southside Hope Shelter. He reread it twice. A homeless black mother had donated money she didn't need to give. By morning, Ethan didn't wait for answers. He returned to Jackson Station early, heart pounding. Naomi was still there, but Aaliyah was different. She wore a purple winter coat too big for her cheeks pink with warmth. A stuffed elephant rested against her side as she colored with brand new crayons. Naomi stood the moment she saw Ethan, the card already extended. I was going to return it, she said, panic in her voice. I swear, I just needed… Stop, Ethan said gently. You did nothing wrong. He looked at the receipt she handed him. Every purchase was for Aaliyah. Medicine, food, clothing, not a single item for herself. Something inside Ethan collapsed. Not loudly, quietly, permanently. For the first time, he saw what his wealth had blinded him to. That dignity had nothing to do with bank accounts and everything to do with choices. And standing there beneath the flickering lights of a train station that had swallowed so many stories, Ethan Caldwell realized the lie he had lived with his entire life was unraveling. But this was only the beginning. Before the story continues, let me ask you something. Because what happens next depends on how you see this moment. Have you ever judged someone's situation without knowing their story? Yes or no? Stay with this story, because what Ethan does next will challenge everything he thought he believed about race, trust, and humanity. Ethan Caldwell had spent his entire adult life believing that power came from distance. Distance from emotion, distance from need, distance from people whose lives looked nothing like his own. But after that morning at Jackson Station, distance became impossible. He took Naomi and Aaliyah to the Langham, Chicago, not because he wanted to impress them, but because he didn't know where else a mother and child like them could walk into without being questioned. Even then, the moment the revolving doors opened, Ethan felt the tension shift. The concierge smiled at him instantly. Then the smile faltered, just a fraction. When Naomi stepped forward, her hand tightened around Aaliyah's. Ethan noticed it immediately. He noticed the way Naomi straightened her spine, lifted her chin, as if bracing for impact. Years of practice had taught her what luxury spaces often demanded of black women. Justification. Good morning, Ethan said calmly. I'd like a suite. The concierge nodded, but his eyes flicked back to Naomi. Of course, sir. And will your guest be joining you? Guest. Not family, not companions. Guest. Yes, Ethan replied evenly. They'll be staying with me. The hesitation lingered, long enough to be felt, short enough to be denied. Naomi said nothing. She never did in moments like this. Silence had become her armor. Inside the elevator, Aaliyah pressed her nose to the mirrored wall, eyes wide. Mama, she whispered, is this a castle? Naomi laughed softly, the sound brittle but real. Something like that. The suite was warm, bright, quiet in a way the subway never had been. Aaliyah ran toward the window, staring out at the city as if it were a storybook unfolding just for her. Naomi stood frozen by the door. "I can't stay here," she said. "People will think—" "I don't care what they think," Ethan interrupted gently. "You're safe here." She searched his face, looking for the trick, for the catch, for the moment generosity would turn into ownership. "Why are you doing this?" she asked again. Ethan exhaled. "Because yesterday you proved something to me that no boardroom ever has." That night, Ethan didn't return to his penthouse. He stayed awake, making calls, not to investors, not to lawyers, but to people he'd ignored for years. Housing advocates, social workers, program directors on the South Side who sounded suspicious when they heard his name. "We've had promises before," one woman said bluntly over the phone. "They don't last." "I'm not making promises," Ethan replied. "I'm removing obstacles." By morning, the plan was forming, but so was the resistance. The backlash began quietly. A board member called, voice tight. "Ethan, we've received concerns about optics." "Optics of what?" Ethan asked. "You've been seen with a homeless woman, a black woman. Reporters are asking questions." Ethan smiled humorlessly. "Let them. They won't frame it kindly. Then maybe that says more about them." When Ethan returned to the suite, Naomi was sitting at the table, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee like it might vanish if she let go. She looked different, not transformed, just less guarded, less braced. He told her everything: the apartment options, the training program, the school enrollment for Aaliyah. Naomi listened in silence, tears slipping down her cheeks without sound. "This feels like a setup," she whispered. "Every time someone helps, it comes with strings." "There are no strings," Ethan said, "just a foundation." "And when people ask why," she pressed, "when they ask what I gave you in return?" Ethan met her eyes. "You gave me truth." She laughed once, bitter and soft. "People don't believe women like me have that." "I do." The move-in day came faster than Naomi expected. Oakwood Heights Apartments wasn't glamorous, but it was clean, safe, a playground out back, a door that locked from the inside. As they carried boxes upstairs, a neighbor watched from her balcony, a long look, curious, evaluating. "Are we allowed here?" Aaliyah asked quietly. Naomi's heart cracked. "Yes, baby." Ethan heard it, filed it away. Another invisible cut added to a ledger no one ever balanced. That evening, after Aaliyah fell asleep in her own bed for the first time, Naomi stood in the living room, overwhelmed by the silence. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Not of failing, of being taken away again." "No one is taking this from you," Ethan said firmly. "How do you know?" "Because I won't let them." The word surprised them both. The first day of Naomi's training program didn't go smoothly. A counselor skimmed her intake form, eyebrows lifting. "So you were homeless?" "Yes." "And now you're here because—" Naomi paused. She had learned to choose her words carefully. "Because someone believed I deserved a chance." The counselor nodded, unconvinced. Naomi passed every assessment anyway. Meanwhile, Ethan faced his own reckoning. A shareholder confronted him during a meeting. "You're letting personal sentiment cloud business judgment." "No," Ethan replied evenly. "I'm letting reality inform it." "You're risking reputation." Ethan leaned forward. "If my reputation can't survive basic humanity, then it deserves to burn." The room fell silent. That night, Naomi handed Ethan the credit card back. "I don't want to depend on this," she said. He pushed it back toward her. "Emergency only. For Aaliyah." She hesitated. "You trust me?" "With more than money," Ethan said. "With the truth." Weeks passed. Naomi excelled. Aaliyah thrived. Ethan changed. Not dramatically, quietly, fundamentally. He started noticing who was interrupted in meetings, who security followed in lobbies, who got questioned for belonging. And every time he saw it, he remembered Jackson Station, the cardboard sign, the apology for existing. One evening, as Aaliyah showed him a drawing of their new home, Naomi asked the question she'd been holding back. "Why me?" she said. "Why not someone else?" Ethan thought of his father, of the lies passed down like inheritance. Because you shattered something I was taught never to question, he said, and because the world was already punishing you enough. Naomi nodded slowly. Then don't waste it. He wouldn't. But neither of them knew yet that the real test wasn't generosity. It was what happens when society sees a black woman rise and decides whether it will let her stay there. The first time Naomi Brooks walked into Lakeview Community Hospital wearing her new ID badge, she almost turned around. Not because she wasn't qualified, not because she didn't belong, but because the old fear whispered anyway. They'll see you first, not your work. The lobby buzzed with morning noise. Phones ringing, carts rolling, conversations overlapping. Naomi stood still for a moment, grounding herself the way she'd learned to do on cold subway floors. Feet planted, shoulders back, breath steady. She was not asking permission anymore. She was building a life. The job wasn't glamorous. Medical coding, billing, long hours, strict accuracy. But it was stable, honest. And every paycheck felt like a quiet victory against a system that had tried very hard to keep her invisible. Aaliyah adjusted faster than anyone. She made friends at school within days. She laughed louder, slept deeper, stopped flinching at sudden noises. One afternoon, she came home waving a drawing. "This is us," she announced proudly. Naomi stared at the paper. 3 stick figures holding hands. One labeled me, one labeled Mama, one labeled Mr. Ethan. Ethan Caldwell stood on the balcony of his penthouse that night, the city glowing below him. For the first time, it didn't feel like a fortress. It felt like a reminder of how many lives moved beneath him. Lives he had ignored for far too long. The boardroom backlash intensified. A prominent investor pulled him aside. "You're becoming a liability. People don't like seeing lines crossed." "What lines?" Ethan asked calmly. "Class, race, power." Ethan nodded. Then maybe those lines shouldn't exist. When a leaked photo of Ethan helping Naomi move furniture circulated online, the internet erupted. Some called him a hero. Others accused Naomi of manipulation, of playing the race card, of being ungrateful, undeserving, suspicious. Naomi saw the comments one night and closed her laptop with shaking hands. "I knew this would happen," she said quietly. Ethan didn't deny it. "So did I." "What if they take it away?" she asked. "My job, my home." "They won't," he said firmly. "And if they try, they'll answer to me." For the first time, Naomi didn't shrink from the protection. She accepted it, not as charity, but as solidarity. Weeks later, Naomi received a letter. She had been promoted. Her supervisor, a woman who had initially questioned her presence, now sat across from her with genuine respect. "You're one of our most reliable employees," she admitted. "We were wrong to doubt you." Naomi smiled politely. She didn't need the apology, but she accepted it for what it was: progress. Ethan faced his reckoning publicly during a shareholder meeting streamed live. A question was raised bluntly. "Are you using corporate influence to advance a personal agenda?" Ethan leaned into the microphone. "If believing that black mothers deserve the same safety and opportunity as anyone else is an agenda, then yes." The silence that followed was thunderous, but something else happened too. Employees spoke up, partners followed, donations shifted, policies changed. Caldwell Therapeutics launched a housing and employment initiative. Not branded, not flashy, but effective. Naomi refused to be its poster child. "I don't want to be a symbol," she told Ethan. "I want to be proof." She became exactly that. The day Naomi signed the lease extension on her apartment, she cried harder than she ever had on the subway. Aaliyah ran through the room shouting, "This is ours forever!" That night, they cooked dinner together. Real food. Laughter filled the space. Ethan arrived later carrying a small box. "For Aaliyah," he said. Inside was a savings account booklet. "For college," he explained. "No conditions." Naomi closed the box gently. "Thank you," she said. "But I need you to understand something." He waited. "You didn't save us," she continued. "You stood with us. There's a difference." Ethan smiled. "I'm still learning." Months passed, then a year. Naomi walked into her daughter's school assembly and took a seat in the front row. Aaliyah stepped onto the stage, nervous but glowing. "My mom is my hero," she announced into the microphone, "because she never gave up." The audience stood. Ethan clapped until his hands hurt. Later that evening, Naomi and Ethan sat quietly on her couch while Aaliyah slept in her room, safe and dreaming. "You changed my life," Ethan said finally. Naomi shook her head. "No, you changed how you saw it." They sat in comfortable silence, the hum of the radiator filling the room with warmth. Naomi looked around, at the walls that held memories now instead of fear, at the door that locked, at the future that finally felt real. "I don't want this story to end with us," she said. "I want it to mean something." Ethan nodded. "It already does." Because the truth was simple and painfully overdue. A black woman's dignity was never the exception. It was the standard the world had failed to meet, and one choice, made on a freezing morning in a train station, had proven that compassion, when paired with courage, could rewrite more than one life. It could rewrite a belief. Before we end this story, let me ask you something from the heart. Did this story change the way you see homelessness and race? Yes or no? Do you believe Naomi deserved this chance long before Ethan ever met her? Yes or no? Do you think one act of courage can truly challenge a lifetime of bias? Yes or no? If this story moved you, comment 111 below so we know you stayed until the end. Tell us which country you're watching from. Your voice matters here. And if you believe stories like this should be heard, please share this video, because the world only changes when we stop looking away.